Hello and welcome to In Depth. I'm Tina Jha. India has a very large land border covering around 15,106 kilometers. The country shares its borders with 7 countries: Bangladesh, China, Pakistan, Nepal, Myanmar and Bhutan, as well as a small portion with Afghanistan. Varied terrain, climatic conditions and hostile neighbours make our borders complex and border management an important aspect of our security. Effective border management calls for proper planning and measures that secure our frontiers and also safeguard us from the risks involved in the movement of goods and people from India to other countries and vice versa. Smart border management with technological solutions is one step towards improving border security. In September last year, Home Minister Rajnath Singh launched 2 smart fencing pilot projects of 5 kilometers each along the India-Pakistan international border in Jammu. On the 5th of March this year, the Home Minister inaugurated the electronic surveillance project along the Indo-Bangladesh border. Assam's Dhubri district shares border with Bangladesh, comprising mainly of the Brahmaputra river and a little portion in the Gadadhar river, which makes it the longest riverine border in the country. So how will electronic surveillance help the BSF in guarding our borders? And how effective will the system prove to be towards effective border management? We analyze today in depth. Home Minister Rajnath Singh inaugurated an electronic surveillance project in Dhubri district of Assam along the India-Bangladesh border. The project is called BOLD-QIT, Border Electronically Dominated Quick Response Team Interception Technique, under the Comprehensive Integrated Border Management System. Under this project, a wide range of electronic gadgets have been installed along the Indo-Bangla border in the Dhubri district of Assam. Now, this 61-kilometer stretch of border is highly porous and riverine, and that's why guarding it is a daunting task. Therefore, to check illegal immigration, smuggling of arms, ammunition, drugs and cattle, the riverine border has been put under round-the-clock surveillance. Underwater and underground sonar sensors have been installed along the riverine border in Dhubri to detect any illegal cross-border activities. According to the Ministry of Home Affairs, with the enabling of electronic surveillance in the unfenced riverine border area of Dhubri, now the entire span of the Brahmaputra has been covered with the data network generated by microwave communication, OFC cables, DMR communication, day and night surveillance cameras, and intrusion detection system. These modern gadgets installed under the BOLD-QIT project will provide feeds to the BSF control rooms along the border and enable the paramilitary forces' quick reaction teams to thwart any possibility of illegal border crossing and crimes.
जो फेंसिंग होती है, फेंसिंग तो 4 साल, 6 साल, 8 साल, 10 साल के बाद जंग लग जाती है, कभी टूट जाती है, कभी यदि वो राजस्थान की अकायदी क्षेत्र है तो पूरी सैंड आकर पूरी तरह से ढक लेती है, तो इन सब सारी मुसीबतों से निजात मिलेगी इससे, और एक परफेक्ट जो है पूरी इसकी सर्विलेंस पूरे बॉर्डर की हो सकेगी। इसके पहले 11 किलोमीटर हम लोगों ने किया था, जो हमारा इंटरनेशनल बॉर्डर है जम्मू में, इंडो-पाक, और ये इंडो-बांग्लादेश बॉर्डर पर 61 किलोमीटर, यहाँ पर यह सिस्टम ये लगाया गया है।
The BSF is responsible for safeguarding the 4,096-kilometer long international border with Bangladesh. The decision to employ a technological solution besides the physical presence of BSF personnel at the border was taken by the Home Ministry in 2017. In January 2018, the Information and Technology Wing of the BSF undertook Project BOLD-QIT and completed it in record time with the technical support of various manufacturers and suppliers. The project will not only help the BSF curb all types of cross-border crimes, but also provide respite to the troops from round-the-clock human surveillance.
जहाँ फेंसिंग रहती है, वहाँ पर भी हमारे बॉर्डर सिक्योरिटी फोर्स के जवानों को बराबर मूवमेंट, पेट्रोलिंग करनी पड़ती है, रात और दिन। तो मैं समझता हूं कि एक बहुत बड़ी मुसीबत से भी छुटकारा मिलेगा। उसमें थकावट होती है, ज्यादा फोर्स डिप्लॉय करनी पड़ती है। अब कहीं किसी निश्चित स्थान पर जो हमारी बीओपीज होंगी वहां पर बैठे होंगे और यहां पर जो कमांड एंड कंट्रोल सेंटर है, यहां से जो ही जानकारी मिले तुरंत विद इन ए फ्यू सेकेंड उनको सूचना पहुंचेगी और वहां से वो मूव करेंगे। और कहीं पर यदि कोई स्मगलिंग हो रही है अथवा कहीं पर कोई बॉर्डर क्रॉस करने की कोशिश कर रहा है तो उसकी वह जानकारी हासिल कर लें।
But on the Bangladesh border, because there is really no military threat per se, infiltration still continued. Because it is, despite the fact that we have these border posts of the BSF and the fence, there are many gaps in that area. And the gaps are there because of the nature of the terrain. There are sandbars, there are chars. In the monsoons, the whole area gets flooded. So now to prevent that, they went on to something called e-surveillance. This was a project which had been started by the BSF a few years ago.
India shares vast porous borders with its several neighbours, including Pakistan and Bangladesh. Battalions of the Border Security Force and other security agencies guard the international borders round the clock, but several stretches become difficult to guard following inhospitable terrain or riverine borders. In this report, we take a look at the comprehensive integrated border management system and the need to introduce this modern surveillance system for our borders. Project BOLD-QIT, or Border Electronically Dominated QRT Interception Technique, under the Comprehensive Integrated Border Management System, or CIBMS, will enable the BSF to equip the Indo-Bangla border in the unfenced riverine area of the Brahmaputra and its tributaries with various kinds of sensors. To check illegal immigration and smuggling of arms, ammunition, drugs and cattle along the porous borders of India, the government in 2017 decided to go for a technological solution to aid the BSF guards manning these borders. In January 2018, the Information and Technology Wing of the BSF started the BOLD-QIT project and was completed in record time with technical support from various agencies. With this, the entire span of the Brahmaputra will now be covered with the data network generated by microwave communication, OFC cables, DMR communication, day and night surveillance cameras and intrusion detection system. These gadgets will provide feeds to the BSF control rooms along the border and will enable the paramilitary forces' quick reaction teams to prevent any possibility of illegal border crossing and crimes.
The BOLD is called the Border Electronically Dominated, BOLD, that's the name they are given it. For BOLD, Border Electronically Dominated, and QIT is quick interception. Now, this quick interception which they're talking about, it enables these people on the border posts, when any movement is detected from this particular base of theirs, where they're carrying out this electronic surveillance, they know something has happened and we can move these teams quickly to that area and intercept them, which is not possible area. What it really means is that we have got a series of electronic gadgets, right? We are looking at radio waves, we are looking at sound waves, we are also looking at optical fiber cable for communications, light waves, anything which can detect the presence of human beings. And there are multiple modes of actually detecting human beings, because if one system doesn't work, then another system will work. So it could be based on sound, it could be based on light, it could be based on various other electronic means.
CIBMS is an integration of a number of new gadgets and technologies to ensure electronic surveillance of India's international borders with Pakistan and Bangladesh. It is designed to guard stretches where physical surveillance is not possible, either due to inhospitable terrain or riverine borders. The purpose of the CIBMS is to eventually replace manual surveillance of the international borders by electronic surveillance and organizing the BSF personnel into quick reaction teams to enhance their detection and interception capabilities. The use of high-tech solutions for border security was being considered by the Ministry of Home Affairs since 2012. In 2014, the BSF also submitted a detailed report on CIBMS to the Ministry of Home Affairs, But a decision to implement the system was taken in January 2016 after the attack on the Pathankot air base.
But on the Bangladesh border, because there is really no military threat per se, infiltration still continued. Because it is, despite the fact that we have these border posts of the BSF and the fence, there are many gaps in that area. And the gaps are there because of the nature of the terrain. There are sandbars, there are chars. In the monsoons, the whole area gets flooded. So now to prevent that, they went on to something called e-surveillance. This was a project which had been started by the BSF a few years ago. It got conceptualized, and now I think what we are doing now is in the final phase of this e-surveillance.
Among major components of CIBMS is the virtual fence that enable human-less real-time invigilation of borders. These include infrared-based and laser-based intrusion alarm systems that can create an always-on invisible fence, thermal imagers for detection of camouflaged breaches, aerial surveillance using aerostats, sonar systems for guarding riverine edges, and ground sensors to pick up real-time data through tunnels or underground. The CIBMS enables round-the-clock surveillance on border and under different weather conditions, be it in dust storm, fog or rain. Command and control centers, which is the second major component of CIBMS, will keep receiving all these data at nearest proximity through fiber optics in real time and take action as and when necessary. An important component of the CIBMS is the use of satellite imagery, which helps security forces to find out details of the terrain across the border. It also helps in planning operations and also in infrastructure development. Another component is power management to keep CIBMS running. While CIBMS is touted as a more robust and integrated system that is capable of addressing the gaps in the present system of border security by seamlessly integrating human resources, weapons, and high-tech surveillance equipment. Several challenges lie ahead for this sophisticated surveillance system in India. India shares a vast border of over 7,000 kilometers with Pakistan and Bangladesh, and the operation and maintenance of sophisticated border surveillance equipment remain a problem. At present, many of the high-tech surveillance devices deployed by the BSF are not optimally utilized because the required technical expertise is not uniformly available among the force's personnel. The high cost of the electronic devices and the lack of easy availability of spare parts act as a deterrent against their use. The lack of technical expertise, erratic power supply, and adverse climatic and terrain conditions in the border areas could also potentially undermine the functioning of such a sophisticated system. Modern technical solutions have become imperative to complement the traditional methods of border guarding against infiltration and trans-border crimes, and a judicious mix of properly trained manpower and affordable and tested technology is likely to yield better results. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Due to the India-Bangladesh border being highly porous, a large number of illegal immigrants have entered India over the years. The influx is mainly in the adjoining states inside the Indian territory, leading to serious burdens on state resources, infrastructure, and contributing to vast changes in the demographics of these states. Besides, there are various other challenges which India faces relating to its security. And that's why these border areas require a strong surveillance system.
Borders dividing India from Bangladesh and Pakistan were based on revenue maps and ethnic differences. Such demarcation created a unique set of problems. India has 14,818 km long land border and a coastline of 7,516.6 kilometers. All states except Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Delhi and Haryana have an international border or a coastline. 92 out of 640 districts are border districts in 17 states. Indian borders run through plains, hills, mountains, deserts, riverine territories and marshes. Managing such an expansive border is a complex task. Challenges related to border security include unsettled maritime boundaries, lack of fully demarcated land borders, and borders based on artificial boundaries. The Indo-Bangladesh border is highly porous. Illegal movement of people and goods is a perennial problem. The terrain and the demographic composition make it easy for illegal migrants to sneak in and get easily assimilated into the local populace. Migration from Bangladesh, especially in Assam and Tripura, is driven by the quest for better economic opportunities. Many Bangladeshis also crossed over to escape political and religious persecution. The increasing influence of Islamic fundamentalism in Bangladesh also resulted in a large-scale push into India of foot soldiers of fundamentalism. Besides arms trafficking, human and narcotics trafficking, smuggling of cattle, counterfeit currency, kidnapping and thefts are quite rampant along the border.
On the Bangladesh border, it is different. On the Bangladesh border, what we are looking at is smuggling of a different nature. We are looking at cattle smuggling, which takes place at a very large scale. But something which has happened over the years is illegal migration. A large number of people from Bangladesh have moved into India, and they are in the millions. And that has changed the demography of some of the northeastern states, including Assam. And when we are looking at the conflict which is there in the northeast, a large part of that conflict is due to this illegal immigration which has taken place over the years. And this is why it is the present government has found it very, very necessary to actually look into the cause, into methods to prevent this illegal immigration and to at least stop giving those people the voter rights.
The BSF is responsible for safeguarding the 4,096-kilometer-long international border with Bangladesh. But at various places, it is not possible to erect border fences due to geographical barriers. Construction of fences was undertaken in two phases, with Phase 1 sanctioned in 1987 and Phase 2 in 2000. A 9.3-kilometer fence has been erected between Mantri Char and Kalaibari Char. Additional border observation posts along the helipads have also been built for emergency evacuation or deployment. Global positioning system gadgets, night vision binoculars, and handheld thermal image intensifiers are used by the forces. India and Bangladesh have jointly established a number of institutional mechanisms. These include the biannual meeting between the BSF and the BDR, the Home Secretary level talks, and the annual meeting of the Joint Boundary Working Group. Along the border, vulnerability mapping and strengthening of BOPs, which are identified as being prone to illegal migration or cross-border crimes, have been carried out. Steps like deploying observation posts along the international borders, with riverine sections being patrolled using watercrafts, speedboats, floating BOPs, aerial recce, procurement of state-of-the-art surveillance equipment, including day and NVDs, have all been undertaken to act as a force multipliers. Use of drones for surveillance have also been one of the emerging technological trends in border security management system. The project BOLD-QIT will put the highly porous riverine section of the Indo-Bangladesh border in Assam under electronic surveillance. It will cover the India-Bangladesh border in the area which consists of char or sand islands and innumerable river channels. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
India is now set to use space technology to secure its borders. ISRO will soon launch a satellite exclusively for the use of the Ministry of Home Affairs to help it further strengthen its frontiers, both with Pakistan and Bangladesh, among several other countries.
Invisible yet vital. Borders define where one place ends and another begins. Every prosperous nation feels compelled to defend its border from intrusion, even as they struggle with some practical challenges. Well, keeping this in mind, the Indian Space Research Organisation will soon launch a satellite exclusively for the Home Ministry. This satellite will be used for the purpose of utilizing space resources for security, operational planning and border management. The move is part of recommendations made by a task force on the use of space technology, which have been accepted by Home Minister Rajnath Singh. The report has identified the following areas for the use of space technology like to strengthen island development, border security, communication and navigation, and facilitate the development of infrastructure in border and island areas. The report was finalized after MHA had a consultation with all stakeholders, including border guarding forces, ISRO, National Security Council Secretariat, and Ministry of Defence.
Space is a very important platform for securing India. You can, from the top, from space, you can look down and monitor what is happening across India on its borders. That is one capability. You can also use India's NAVIC system, use it to target missiles onto your enemies. You can also use satellites for communication. Both the Navy and the Air Force have dedicated satellites for themselves. Now, the Ministry of Home Affairs is also asking for a satellite which will be dedicated for their own purposes for securing India's borders.
To execute the project in a time-bound manner, a short, medium and long-term plan has been proposed for implementation in 5 years in close coordination with ISRO and MOD. In short term, immediate needs of border guarding forces would be met by procurement of high-resolution imagery and the hiring of bandwidth for communications. In the mid-term, one satellite is being used by ISRO for the exclusive use of Ministry of Home Affairs. Over the long term, MHA will develop ground segment and network infrastructure to share satellite resources by user agencies, develop a central archival facility for storing various imagery resources, and dissemination of the same to user agencies.
We have a special satellite which can keep a track on our borders. Now that satellite, in fact, we have launched a similar satellite earlier also. This satellite has a peculiar, characteristic in the sense it can image even in a cloudy weather, because it is a sort of radar satellite, RISAT it's called. So it can keep track of the border continuously over many days together, because we have now, I think, 3 RISAT satellites, so it can keep a continuous check on the borders. And since it is all weather, because remote sensing satellites normally they cannot image if there is a cloud. So these typical satellites that we have launched already, they can keep track of any movement, and they are very sensitive. They can detect a small car also passing near the border.
Deployment of central forces in remote areas will be also coordinated by satellite communications. Besides, the Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System based GPS will provide navigation facilities for operational parties in high altitude, remote and difficult borders and Naxal areas. The task force would be headed by Joint Secretary Border Management in the Home Ministry and will have members from BSF and the Department of Space. BSF has been designated as the lead agency for implementation of ground segment and network infrastructure, including the establishment of archival facility. The Home Ministry will implement the project with the assistance of the Department of Space. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, so that's it from us in today's edition of In Depth. We'll be back same time tomorrow with a focus on some other subject. You can also watch our episodes online on YouTube and Twitter and get back to us with your feedback and suggestions. Thank you very much for your time.